Hello, I'm Kim from the Eco Tree. Welcome back if you've been here before. I was talking to someone the other day about how they wanted to start a business, but they were really struggling at the minute because of financial difficulties due to the mess that was the past year. You know what I'm talking about. Coupled with that this time of year is traditionally a quiet time of the year anyway. We've all been under some sort of restrictions in some way, shape, or form. That is going to take its toll. So if you are getting started on Etsy or you're creating any other form of online handmade business, then you might be a little disheartened because you've not made many sales, or maybe you've not made your first sale at all, or maybe you're just thinking about starting out, but you're just thinking, is it really worth it? Well, yes, it is. But if you can go in with some information under your belt, then at least you're getting off to a good start. Even when it feels like all you're hearing is crickets, you just have to keep showing up. Okay, so the first thing that I wish I'd known when I first started my business was that getting the ball rolling takes time. It took me, I think it was 6 or 7 months to get my first sale on Etsy. So if you're starting now and it takes you some time to get your first sale or even your first sales, that's actually perfectly normal. It's a process. See it as pushing a ruddy great big rock up a hill. It's hard work. There's a lot of work for a little progress, and it doesn't feel worth it until you get it to the top and you push it over that brow. What's the top of a hill? You push it over the top of the hill, and then all of a sudden, whee! Basically, you get my drift. You keep on showing up until it gets easier, and it does. I promise you it does. If you are starting a business right now, it's going to be a slow process getting that rock up that hill. So if you're starting a business now, or you've just recently started a business and things are slow and your hill feels like this and your rock feels like a ton weight, that's normal. Sorry, that may be not what you want to hear, but that is normal at the very beginning. Again, I've got my my little notes here, and I've got number 2. Photography can be boring, but it's so important. And I've even underlined the word so, because here's the thing, I have a confession to make. I know how important photography is to selling on Etsy. Etsy have even said, I've forgotten the actual stat, but it's something like 95% of shoppers that they asked said that photographs were the most important factor in their buying decision-making process. It's so important. And I know this, and I suck at it. I suck at it so hard because I hate it. I really don't like taking photographs, and I don't know why I feel embarrassed to admit that. It's not my favorite part of the process. I love making things, but I don't love taking pictures of the things. Needless to say, the times when I have actually put effort and time into making good photographs, my items have sold more and faster. Funny that. Invest some time on improving that skill. Here is your permission. If you want to click off this video right now and go and find yourself a good photography video, go do that. Although it would be nice if you could watch till the end and then do that maybe. I might even put a playlist together. I don't have a video on sustainable packaging, but I've put together a playlist of other people's videos that I like about sustainable packaging. In fact, I'll link to it up here. Or is it up here? It's up, I think it's there, because I don't have one of my own, but I want to be able to share that sort of stuff with you. So I will do a photography one and share that with you in due course. Okay, so photography can be boring, but it is very important. 'Tis true. So is SEO. But that's okay, because I like SEO. In fact, that's one of the jobs of running your own business that I actually have to put a timer on, because I can lose myself in that. I can get a little bit nerdy. But yeah, that's another skill set that you need. And that's a video for a whole other day, because it's not the sort of thing that I can just say in 30 seconds or 1 minute, these are SEO tips, because there's so much to learn. Photography and SEO, if there are just 2 skills that you need to learn to run a successful handmade business, make them those 2. I mean, obviously there's a lot more that goes into it, but I keep on talking about these 2 because at the moment they are king, and it doesn't look like that's going to change anytime soon. Basically, SEO, it's important. Do some homework. Identify your niche. I am aware that a lot of these tips that I'm saying you've heard so many times, especially if you're doing the rounds on YouTube with your videos. But there's a reason for that. It's important because it works. Figure out who you want to sell to and sell to them. And don't worry about everybody else. There will always be people who don't like your thing. The more you niche down, the more specific you can be, and the more success you will tend to find. Right, I've touched on this in the past, but make sure that your items are unique. In a nutshell, think about, could somebody find what you make easily on the high street? If the answer is yes, your rock just got a hell of a lot heavier and your hill just got a hell of a lot steeper. The more unique your item is, the more customers you will get, because they won't be able to find what you sell anywhere else, so they will come to you for it. That is one pro that I didn't mention in my pros and cons video that Etsy has, and that is that often it's the place that people can go to find stuff that you cannot find anywhere else. But in short, just make sure that your items are unique and that you can't find them on the high street. Or, if you can, that yours offers something that the high street can't offer, like personalization. All right, can't remember if I touched on this because in true Kim fashion, I'm waffling, but some periods of the year are going to be traditionally quieter than others. You haven't done anything wrong. Your products aren't necessarily bad. Your SEO isn't necessarily bad. Maybe even your photographs are perfect. But yeah, there are dips and troughs throughout the year. The holiday season at the end is a traditionally busy one. Late spring and summer, traditionally slow. For example, back in the day when I was doing festival gear, this time of year started to be quite busy for me, and it would peak in July. It would peak in July and then it would tail off in August, August is now so quiet for me that I can happily take off that month, which is handy because that's also when my daughter is off school, so I need to be home and I have less time anyway. But I digress, which is kind of my thing. Create a calendar, just a simple yearly calendar, one sheet of paper, and just note how many sales you make in each month, and note any busy events that happen that make your sales shoot up. For example, Mother's Day, the Christmas holidays, weddings, anything that relates to your business. Forget everybody else. Focus on your stats, your sales, or lack of, because that's important too, and just note through each month how many that you get, so that this time next year you can look back, and what happens is you start to see a pattern. It is one of these boring jobs as a business owner, and you think, what's the point of this? I'm not even going to see the benefit until maybe next year or so. But I promise you, this time next year, if you haven't done it, you'll wish you had. But if you are struggling to make sales at this particular point, don't worry, that's normal. And I've said all of this before, and I said it in a very pithy sentence. Don't put all of your Etsy eggs in, no, that's wrong. Oh, it's not pithy anymore. Don't put all of your business eggs in the Etsy basket. Okay, so don't put all of your eggs in one basket. What do I mean by that? Diversify. I mean, let's just say, as Etsy is an example, that like me, you have to shut your shop for a period of time. You need to have an income stream from elsewhere. What that elsewhere is going to look completely different for everyone, dependent on what you do, what your situation is, what other responsibilities you have, which country you live in. How I've diversified in 2021 is different from how I diversified in 2020. But you get my point. You have to think about other platforms and forms of income, so that if one goes feet up in the air for any reason, for any length of time, you still have something. And lastly, this one I know is going to have most of you going, oh, I don't need to hear that. But I promise you, you sit down and you listen. You need to have an outlet that is nothing to do with your business, doesn't make you money, and that you do solely for yourself. Otherwise, you will go stir crazy and you will burn out. I bloody mean it. Mine is gardening. That is how I get out of my head. It is a physical thing so that I can shut down my screen and just go out and relax and do something completely different. And it is so necessary. Please make sure that you have something that you can turn to that isn't your business. Even if it's just watching Netflix, whatever it is, whatever calms you and just gives you a minute. In the 8 years since I've been running my business properly, I have burnt out 3 times, and it's taken me 3 times to make the same mistake before I could start seeing a pattern. And at least now, not only do I know what burnout looks like and feels like, I also know what it feels like in the run up to it. So I can see the warning signs, and I know that having an outlet that isn't work is so important. And the moment I drop it, everything else turns to rubbish. Get yourself a hobby. And that's it. Those are the things that I wish I had known when I first started. And on that note, I will see you next week.